Oosh. Welcome to the third episode, and again, have two very special ladies with me, who I've been working with for a while now, and getting to know them as a person and their backgrounds. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, and then we're gonna get this show started. So let's start with Barbara. Please share with the audience where you're from, what you do here in Thailand, and also perhaps your initiation into plant medicine.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm Barbara. Hi. I'm Italian of origin, and 13 years ago, life brought me to Thailand. And initially, it took me here because of boxing. I was a boxer. I did a few fights back in Italy, and I came in holiday in this boxing camp. And in 2 weeks, I decided that this was my life, and I had to move here. So I just went back and quit my job, sold my car, tell everybody that I was moving in Thailand. And 2 months after I came here, and life takes you on different roads, and things happen to you, right? And so a lot of things happened in 13 years. And at one point, I came across plant medicine because of personal healing. And 4 years after, I am a completely different person. And it gave me the luck not only of healing myself, but of meeting beautiful people who become my community. And yeah, definitely a big change.
Okay, no, thanks, Barbara. Okay, let's move on to my right side. Tanya, please share where you're from, how you got involved with us, and kind of the path here.
Yeah, okay, so I'm Tanya and I am from New Zealand, born in New Zealand, and then when I was about 25, I moved to Australia and spent the bigger part of my life there in Australia. And 2 years ago, I came to Thailand. I was at a point in my life where I was, my children had left home and I wasn't sure what I was doing with my life, what the next path was. And so I was feeling stuck in how I move forward. And so I decided to take a bit of a journey. I kind of asked myself who it would be if I had nothing. So I sold up and decided I'd start in Thailand because I'd been advised that this would be a really good, safe place to start solo traveling. And when I got to Thailand, I met a couple of people that led me to Chiang Mai and ended up by doing my first ayahuasca ceremony, which is where I met you and Barbara. And ended up by having such a transformational first retreat that I ended up by staying here and finding a community that has really supported me on my healing journey, and transitioning that to now be supporting other people that are going through their journeys in their healing space. And yeah, so that's what's got me here for now.
Okay, and Tanya, can you share with them what your career was like before coming to Thailand? Like you were in the corporate sector, am I right?
Yeah. So I was in the corporate sector. I was working for a company that sold generators and I was managing finance, marketing, IT. Um, when I took that job, I was more looking for something that fitted in with family, and we were just a family business to begin with. And then it grew and grew and grew. And I played a big role in that to become corporate. However, as my kids got older and I started wanting to look for more stuff that was fulfilling for myself, for what I was calling for in here, um, and I didn't know what that was. And so I moved from Sydney to a new branch we opened in Queensland, and that was part of my journey. I'd been building out systems in, you know, service departments, hire departments, and stuff like that. So the skill set that I'd learnt within this company was quite extensive. However, as much as I loved my job, I was looking for something different. And that kind of led me into start stepping into more of a holistic wellness. And so I started with doing like going to sound healings and stuff. And then I, did my own sound bowl journey training and I did Reiki and, and I had a friend that said to me, you're actually looking for something to land on. You're touching on these things just to see which one lands. And then it led me to go and do NLP training. And I went into this training and that was really transformational. It really took me to the depths of myself. And it was a great training space. And I listened to people say in the rooms that, everything's inside you, everything you need, you've got. And I had no idea what they were talking about. Like there was stuff that was making sense inside. However, I just couldn't link it. So yeah, that took me from there. And then I went and started a business with my daughter to go into healing. And that didn't run the way that we had anticipated. And then, so that's when I decided I need something, a bigger change, and put me on my journey to come to Thailand.
Okay, let's start with that because these two have been fucking bugging me about NLP for the past I don't know how long month. So can you guys explain exactly what NLP is, what it teaches you, what it offers you, what it healed for you, and also how you can link that with plant medicine and the work in plant medicine? So open to start, anyone?
Yeah. Well, I'm fresher into NLP than Tanya, and actually Tanya is the one that took me into this world, And for a few years, I've healing myself into the plant medicine space. And I felt that, yes, healing was happening. It was a big part. But then as we are always saying is integration the part. And I was missing the link on how can I can integrate with my knowledge and everything, but I was missing like the guidance of what's more out there and what can I unlock in myself outside of plant medicine. And when I did the course, it was mind blowing. Like just the connection with your subconscious mind and letting your subconscious mind tell you things. Even in plant medicine, the connection is not with something that is foreign to you. You connect with your higher self. You connect with your subconscious, and you can do that also outside of plant medicine with these techniques that are taught in NLP, right? And since I did that training, a lot of like change happened in my life, a lot of download, a lot of healing happened with that, which then, with the help of plant medicine, I can go even deeper into, right? Yeah, and that for me is still very healing.
And what does NLP stand for those that don't?
NLP's Neuro Linguistic programming. So it's about our thoughts, it's about our language, and it's about the programs and the strategies that we have, that we run inside. Right. And so we all have different kinds of conditioning from the moment we're born, whether it's from our parents, from our grandparents, from the schools, from our societal, conditioning and stuff like that. And so things happen in our lives and we create these programs within our system.
And how, like, what's the history of NLP? Do you know how far back it goes? Do you know, like, where it originated from, or any, like, perhaps public figures in the holistic space that promote it or that's done the trainings as well? Because I know you mentioned Tony Robbins. He uses a lot of NLP techniques. Is that?
There's a lot of, when you've done the training, you can see when people have had some kind of connection to NLP, that they've had some training, because you can hear from their language, the way that they speak. And quite often, so somebody like Tony Robbins, there's a lot of towards language about how you're moving forward, which is super powerful. Elizabeth Ann Walker, who was my trainer, super powerful. So she trains in Queensland.
Right.
And she has a huge following that comes through there. But this is it's certified in the States.
Okay.
How far it goes back, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think it is like Bandler and Grinder. Thinking about the 70s, but don't take me on dates. I'm really bad. But I think that it comes from that. And then, they start to modeling all these other people that were working in the healing space, and they were taking up on what's working for them. And then they create these NLP. And in my belief, right, I study yoga, I study philosophy and Buddhist and different things and martial arts and coaching. And I can see that there is a thread in everything. Like they keep repeating the same stuff with different language, with different techniques. And I think this guy in NLP, what they did is like, okay, what is working? Let's take it and put it in. Let's take it and put it in. And then they created these modules, these techniques that are working.
Yeah. So who would be a suitable candidate for NLP? Would someone needing to heal trauma, someone wishing to improve their business, their family life? Like who are the suitable candidates for NLP?
Everybody. It's a way of life because it's language, right? And it's how we speak and the words that we use. So when I did it, one of the first things I thought was like, wow, if I'd actually had this awareness or known some of these techniques when my kids were younger, how would it have impacted them?
Right.
Because of the way I would have modeled them,
Right.
like taking them forward.
How you speak to others, how you speak to yourself as well, which is a big thing, right? Like we all have an inner dialogue. And I don't think we understand how subconscious that dialogue has been programmed into us.
Yeah.
From our parents, from the traumas, from any hardship. And if what you're repeating in your head is just like full of shit to yourself, that's what your life is gonna fucking be.
Yeah, you create your reality with your words.
Right.
You know, what is if like, you know, I don't know, is a very is a very low example, but like what if like somebody you're throwing a party for your birthday and your friends is not coming, and then you start to think, oh my God, he's not loving me, he doesn't care about me, oh my God. But then if you are able to reframe that and say, oh, maybe he was busy, or maybe something was going on, you know, you create your reality, and you're not like cutting the bond with your friend, but you're maybe there for him.
Okay, amazing. Okay, maybe we can backtrack to NLP. So, you know, the both of you are middle-aged women who have mentioned that you've left everything kind of behind in your own. Why you laugh?
I don't know if I appreciate this middle-aged women.
whatever. Past 40, okay. So you both mentioned that you've kind of left everything behind before you moved to Thailand. And from knowing you, I know that both of you have been married. Tanya, you're a grandmother now. Congratulations. What's that name? Ren on little Ren. Did you feel that it was necessary to, in a way, close those chapters of your life in Italy, perhaps marriage or your career, in order for you to step into this new phase of development?
I think that we're always working for our highest good, right? And so we're being pulled in a direction, and then this thinking brain wants to fight it, right? And so I feel where I am is where I'm supposed to be. And I had to create such a big eruption in my family, and that to be able to disconnect from them, to be able to go, you know what, it's time for me. I'm going to go do my thing. I'm just going to follow it. But there was a big piece of me trusting as well that what I'm doing is the right thing and following it. And there's that inner dialogue, as you were saying, that was fighting that as well. I was a bookkeeper at that point, and I'm like, I need to do the certification. I'm going to be a bookkeeper. It's going to keep me safe. And so I'm having this conversation in my head all the time, like I have to do the certification, you know, because of what I need to make money when I'm traveling, and this I'll be able to do online. And, you know, in that first 12 months, it was so hard. It was so resistant. I was resistant to what I was trying to do. You know, I finally knuckled down and I did the certification, and then I went, you know what, this isn't what I wanted to do. I want this holistic wellness side of things. But the moment I decided that and I let it go, that's when it created space of like, okay, now I'm stepping in here. Again, it was a trust, following the thread. But I had to create such a disruption in my family to be able to disconnect from them.
What do you mean by disruption? Like, do you mean like you guys left on bad terms, or what? Like, it
was almost, it it was bad terms to begin with. We'd been living, my older daughter had come back home to start this business with me. I had my younger daughter living at home with me as well. And then I think through having done NLP, I'd cleared out a lot of stuff, but I still had something that was scaring me about stepping into this new version of myself. And I was super scared. And so I couldn't show up for my older daughter in this business in the way that I really needed to. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was letting her down. And then it was creating frustration and tension in the house. And it just got to a point where we just went, and she went traveling around the world. My younger daughter moved out, and then it was like, what am I doing? And I feel like we created that so we could all just move in a different direction. And now it's all come back to, like we've always stayed connected. The foundation has always been super strong with my kids and stuff, but that needed to happen. Otherwise, I would still be at home if it hadn't. Dissatisfied with my life, frustrated, feeling like I'm on some kind of hamster wheel.
Right. Right.
So, yeah. And I think a big part of that is also, like you say, about the logical mind, right? When I moved to Thailand, I was not in the awareness that I am now. So I was just letting things happen.
Yeah.
And there is a big part that is about following your heart. When you feel in your heart that move, that decision is the correct one, and you follow through, is never wrong. In Italy, I had a really good job, well paid and secure. And I came to Thailand, and in 2 weeks, I met this Italian dude that was running this camp, and he asked me to come and work here for him. I went back home and I told my parents and everybody, and I quit my job. And everybody was shocked. They were asking me, what's the agreement? Do you know how much he pays you? And no, we never discussed that. What are you going to do? I have no idea. I go there and I see. So it was a very bold move, what I did. But it was sitting in my heart that this was the right decision, and actually paid off.
Right. Okay. So yeah, both of you, were in marriages and had divorce. And can you guys share what teachings and learning you guys had from, having a marriage, having a family life, and now all your kids are grown up already, and they've left the nest? Like what did you learn from those lessons? And did you feel that chapter of your life as a mother has kind of come to its conclusion, or no?
No, I'm always a mum.
Right.
I'm always there for my kids.
Right.
And I had my first child when I was 22. I always felt like I was supposed to be a mum. I always wanted to have children. And so when I got married, like it was great, I was married for 6 years, and I separated when I was 25. And when it didn't work, there were things from my younger childhood and watching my parents and their relationship, that there were things that I said I'm not having in mine. And I guess I've always had a little bit of, I've been strong in myself of what I will accept and what I wouldn't accept. And, when it came to an end and I knew it wasn't right or suited for me anymore, I made the call. And that was a really hard decision to make, because my kids were 3 and 18 months old. And I actually really love being in a relationship. I love the whole dynamics of being married and in family, but we were on different paths of what he wanted, what I wanted. And so it just didn't align. And so there was this friction. And so I made the call to, to separate. Then when I ended up with my youngest daughter, father, I was there for 19 years. And interestingly enough, even though I'm strong and I get to make a decision, and I created all the things that I wanted while I was in that relationship, there was always a lot of conflict and battle of what he wanted and how he wanted to go through life, and then what I was wanting. And I did leave at one point, probably about 8 years into the relationship. And it took me 8 months to decide to come back, because I had this guilt about what I was doing to my children, how I was impacting them by having another separation. And to be honest, my kids have what always kept me strong and grounded, what made sure I was home at night and made sure that food's on the table and they're having everything that they need. And so they've always given me this drive to make sure they're in a great school and everything like that. when I left that relationship, my youngest was around 15, and I just got to a point of knowing that this no longer served. I needed to follow some other path, and I didn't know what that path was either. But we weren't serving one another. We weren't doing either of us any good by being in this relationship. What he was wanting was very different to what I wanted. So, again, I made the call. But I think through that time and it's more, if you look back, right? It's always in hindsight, because when you're in it, right? So you can't take away what was great about it until after you've gone. But through both times when I separated, I had always decided that my kids aren't responsible for the choices and that. So I always made it really a priority to maintain a really good relationship with their fathers. So I've been really lucky to navigate the blended families. I think that's been really powerful for the kids. My younger children, because of this relationship I maintain with their dad, they got to travel around the world and go to different countries and had stuff that they probably wouldn't have done had we stayed together. And so I've always been a support to him, how he's traveled through life as well. And he's always supported me regardless that we're not together. So that's a huge thing. And I watch a lot of people that don't have that kind of connection with their partners
Right.
in the past. So, and so the same thing for my youngest daughter's father. It's not quite the same, the connection. However, he's, from my perspective, happy living his life. But I think my biggest takeaway is to always hold love for them, for the partners in your life. They've come for a purpose to help us some way on this journey. And when we get to hold them in love, we can still look back and remember there were good times. There was a reason why we were together, and we had good times. The kids had good times. And when we can sit with that memory, then the kids get to remember that as well. Because I had somebody say to me, "Why don't you delete all the photos on Instagram?" Why would I? I've got kids. Why do I say that it doesn't matter anymore? It does. It was a big part of my life.
Yeah. Shout out to John and Greg. Actually, John, Tanya's first husband, has done ceremony with me and a few times now. And also his 15-year-old son, which Anouk. Shout out to Anouk. And those were special ceremonies. And I'm happy in a way that you've maintained such a close and functional relationship that he's able to trust you into coming into the ceremony space. Because people with no background in psychedelics or plant medicine, is very hard for the mind to just take that leap of faith. But if there's a vehicle of trust that can bring them into the space, then it makes all the difference.
Yeah, a couple of things on that as well. Like when I started the healing journey and I went into NLP, he saw the change that happened for me. And so
Right.
he stepped into that. When I came into medicine, he saw the change and I told him about my experience. He followed. And so he's been in that journey. But also, like, he had his son Anouk. He's like 16 now, 16 years ago. And he's Thai, and he's been a part of my family as though he's my son. And so that whole blended family dynamic has been huge. Like, I'm so lucky to be classed as a mum to this child as well. And then sitting in ceremony and getting to be like 16 years ago when I hold this kid and I look at him and go, wow, I've got a connection to him, but I don't know what that's going to be. And then to hold a ceremony in his own country and hold that space for him, like, to me, is super powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
Journey of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And to touch too on Tanya when she say about, just having love for them and having, like, for me, is also compassion for them. When I was in Italy, I was always drove by anger and rage. I was, totally disconnected by that side of love. Compassion for that. Everybody knew, like, at my job, but don't talk to her in the morning until she has the third coffee. Everybody was really always on edge around me.
Yeah.
And I think the same when my ex-husband left me. It was the same thing. I was experiencing anger and rage towards him, and all my friends and my family on the same level. And something happened to him recently. I get to know from a friend of mine, and she actually shared the news last week. that he got through a pretty bad physical issues out of his own action. So it's about alcohol and drinking. So he got in a coma, and the only feeling I had for him actually now is love and compassion. And it really hit me very hard when I shared the news with like my mom and my friends, and they were all like still feeling this anger. And I'm like, no, guys, I changed. Thanks to him, and because he left me, I am here in Thailand. I'm living my best life, and I opened myself to heal while he never had that opportunity. So the feeling that I had for him is just love and compassion, and now it's the energy that I want to send out to him. So I really wish that he can find a way to heal and to become a better man.
Yeah, no, that's a good point because, but while you're going through the breakup and the separation, it's very hard to find that love and compassion, especially if it wasn't done in a way that was fair to you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, a lot of my relationships at the time after the separation, it's like, oh, fuck that bitch, like I hate her, I want her to die, whatever. And then after, when life progresses and new things open up and people come and fill up your cup again with love and joy, then you can look back and be like, oh, fuck, that had to happen.
Yeah, but all the people that are they are still in, like my friends and my family are still into that anger.
Right.
Right. They cannot get out of it, and I just wish that also they can get out of it, because the only thing that is important is just love and compassion in your heart.
Right. Exactly.
Nothing else matters.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe we can talk about that as well. What are older Italians like? Like
Who?
like Italian, the old generation of
Old
Italians.
generation.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the healing, we don't talk. There's not at least in my family, not communication. We don't talk about that stuff, and what we do, we drink.
Right.
We have family gatherings and we drink a lot. At least, it happens in the past in my family.
Okay.
And fights come up, and we are very feisty one another.
Right. Yeah, I think it's something that we all share in common. It's like as we go through the generations, it kind of like the hardness of our ancestors gets filtered. And maybe we can also touch on like violence within the family home and growing up with that, and experiencing that way of life and how we've managed to turn that around transmute it into something that's beautiful and creation, because you grew up in New Zealand, am I right? And like I don't know much about New Zealanders, but it's quite a warrior culture as well. Same with Italians, and people are just hard there. Yes.
How do you know I would it's hard? Well,
Yeah.
actually, when I left to move to Christchurch, I remember people just like, I grew up with two brothers, one older, one younger. I guess we're a bit raw. And there's definitely stuff that was happening in our house that you don't speak about, what was going on. And however, I was really lucky because there's a lot of love in our house as well, but it would conflict me of like, why does this stuff happen in our house that when you love somebody, and then this other side, this hidden side, it's the stuff that's everything, the white picket fence, everything looks great, but then there's this other stuff that happens. I Yeah.
You know what? Spit it out. Get it out. What happened?
Yeah, I grew up in a small town, and so everybody talks, and there's like, you don't even have to do something, and there'd be a story or something. And for me, I was very clear with myself that when I had kids, that's not what I wanted for them. You're not growing up in a small town, having to endure some of the stuff that I had to endure. And I felt like I was by myself a lot growing up. I didn't know until I did a road trip with my brother when I was about 40. We went to a family reunion, and I got to talk to him in the car about stuff that would happen in our home and how I was impacted. And I remember saying to him, like, I was always alone. Like, you had my younger brother, you looked out for him, but I had to just navigate it by myself. And the look on his face when I could see that moment of realization sort of thing. And at the same time, I would say this is what made me really strong.
Right.
and determined about what I would do, about what I wanted for my kids. Like leaving school, my brothers didn't finish school, but when I was in year 10, my mum was saying, like, just get a job and you can go. And I was like, why don't they want me to finish, be educated? But what happened out of that is it became one of my highest value about education. Like there was no way my kids are not finishing school to go and do better for themselves and that. So those things that impacted me as a kid became the things that drove me as I got older as well.
Right.
What I wanted with my family. And, where I had one thing happening in our family as a child growing up, some violence, aggressiveness and stuff like that, it wasn't something that I would allow in my family. However, what I did allow was more of an emotional abuse. So
Right.
at the time I didn't see it as that, but because I thought I was being strong, but that was happening. So yeah,
Yeah.
it plays out in different ways.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, as I said, it gets filtered out, thankfully, throughout the generations if the parents are willing to do work on themselves, Obviously, everyone has a shadow side, and obviously, with the people closest to you, you know, that side is more often shown. Osho has this quote. He says, like if you really hate someone, it means that you have also deep love for them because they can hurt you so much, and it's only the people that really you love that can really get inside. I definitely find that true for myself. Obviously, having a baby now, I definitely don't want to pass on anything that my parents, God bless my parents, I love them to death. But also there was a lot of violence, physical violence, emotional violence in the home. And that's something I'm trying to be very, very mindful of, just like working on myself. So I never get to that stage where I ever feel I have to like, swear at my kid or raise a hand at my kid. Maybe a spanking from time to time. I think that's okay, right? Yeah. But
They
yeah.
need to do something. And I don't have kids.
Yeah. Okay, great. But yeah, and your parents also, you witnessed a lot of violence from what I've known.
Well, it was not physical violence,
Yeah.
but always been a lot of arguing.
Right.
Yeah, but and at the same time, it's all things that have been told to me because I don't have memories of my first 11 years.
Right.
Yeah, so it was my sister telling me, when they were fighting, we'll go down in the court and we just wait until they finish. But I don't actually recall those. The things that I recall of the like teenager year is that there's no communication whatsoever. So it was like dinner time, news on the TV, eat, and nobody talks.
Right.
And when something was going on, it was more like working on repressing everything, repressing those emotions. And as you say, after that they blow up. You can repress as much. The container is not that big. They will come up somewhere. And it will come up, as you say, like, exploding rage.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that myself, just bottling, then you explode. Or it can come up in physical ailments,
Yeah.
because the body gives you one sign, and it gives you another sign, another little one. You don't listen, and then it explodes in something big.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also for me is like about the rage is very important. I think I have that I don't experience anger anymore. It's more not the bad anger. Sometimes I get angry. But it's more I'm very peaceful. No, it's constructive and anger. Like I experience that, but I allow myself to experience it for 90 seconds, 2 minutes,
Right.
and then, okay, just breathe out. And now what can I do? How
Right.
can I transmute this into something that help me grow, help the other person grow, and, help to make our lives better?
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, the cause of a lot of disease is due to just repressed emotions, suppressed emotions, suppressed instincts, even suppressed sexuality, as you know, with like priests touching little boys. It's because they're not channeling that sexual energy. They're just pretending it's not there. When you pretend emotions are not there, they're gonna fuck you up in ways that you can't even imagine. And Carl Jung, he said that as well. Like we we don't become enlightened by just focusing on the light. We have to bring out all the deep dark shit from the
exactly. And
unconscious.
that is the point actually of healing, because how can you heal something that you don't see?
Right.
Right. So it's all about like bringing that stuff up, look at it, and then consciously decide, what do I do now with this? Do I want to continue like before and repress it, and then whatever happens, happens? Or do I want to become the opposite part of the coin? Because as we always say, there is no light without darkness.
Yeah.
Right. But you can experience a big light if you can face the big dark inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not an easy task for people to actually turn around and start looking at yourself, right? My mum had cervical cancer, and I remember when she had that, I think I was still at school, maybe I just left it. I was like, this is a lot of suppressed stuff that's happened to her. This is the cause of, even back then. And then later years when I was living in Perth, she came and she had to have thyroid cancer and have her thyroid cut out. And I knew her voice had been taken. She was a kid knowing part of her story and just stuff that happened in our house, And so when we're suppressing all these things, it's going to show up in the body in some way. But having that awareness, this is the biggest part, right? Having that awareness to be able to say, wait, how am I creating this for myself? Like, what can I do to change this? A lot of people don't have that.
It takes a lot of courage to do that, a lot of strength. Some people think about strength only on the physical aspect,
Right.
but the amount of strength that is required to just admit that, even just admit that you were wrong about something, or admit that you have that dark side,
Right.
and being aware of that, it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Courage. Yeah. Definitely.
And
Courage.
also, I think this is part in NLP, right? Where projection, perception is projection.
Yeah.
And having this ability to turn around when something happens in front of you and it creates a trigger within yourself or a fire or something, you have a reaction to it, to be able to have that language of like, how is this me right now? Why is this showing up for me?
Yeah.
Because it's just that mirror of somebody's mirroring something back to you that's inside to be worked on. And so when you can start having this awareness of like, this person's actually doing me a service right now because they've triggered something in me. So there's something in me deeper that I need to look at it, because the problem's never the problem.
Exactly.
It's what's under it and how do you go deeper to find out what it is for you.
And I think that's the power of community as well, right? Because a lot of people nowadays tend to isolate themselves. But you can do this work, what Tanya just described, only if you are in a community, but if you have people around you. And I always think that I'm very blessed because, in Chiang Mai, but also in Pattaya where I work with people. So I have maybe 400 people coming every year. And each one of them is a mirror of myself. And the gift of healing that I receive from, they can't even grasp it. I'm always so thankful for whatever person appears in my life because of that, because they are my mirror.
Right.
And they give me the chance of, I have this little thing. And when it's little, you can act right away, right? Well, there is this little thing in me that I have to work on. And then sometimes it's a big thing that comes up. And maybe then I come to Chiang Mai and I work a bit deeper with you guys.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I think the saying that like you are your 5 closest friends, I think there's so much truth to that, because if you're not surrounded by people who are willing to grow, who are willing to take accountability, who have, like a connection to their own spirit and know about opening the heart and know what's right for the whatever, like you're going to be dragged down by people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you allow that,
Yeah.
definitely.
And yeah, and community is just like that. That has been my biggest blessing in Thailand, is to find the community that we have. Because why are you smiling? Because
I agree with you.
I don't feel like I have to go through this alone. I have some support, and life is lived alone. You're in your head all the time, but knowing that there are people who love you, who are willing to help when you need it, or who are aiming for the same goals, whatever that goals are.
At the same time, also in life, especially in the growth, there may be point in your life when you feel extremely lonely. Because when you think about, like, you surround yourself with the people that were at your level. For example, when I was younger, I drank so much. Like I was drinking alcohol a lot.
Yeah.
And the people around me were people who were drinking.
Yeah.
Right. And then one day I decided I don't want to be anymore this person. And I had to evolve.
Yeah.
I couldn't stay with them anymore. So what happened is that I step up a little. If they were willing to come with me, then we were again together.
Right.
But they were not willing to come with me. So what happened is that I felt extremely lonely for a few years because I want to improve myself, and I couldn't find the people that that they were what I want to. And then at one point, you keep going and working and healing and become a better person, and then the people arrive.
Right.
And then you guys arrived, and then I found my people again, and this process, it keeps happening. You want to become better, you step up.
Yeah.
If the people don't want to come with you, they stay down, you feel lonely for a bit, but then you find a new tribe, and it goes on until.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. Like you gotta be okay with not cutting people off, and also just like allowing connections to dissolve because they're not.
Yeah,
not
as you don't have to
yeah.
cut like in a bad way, it just happens naturally.
Yeah.
It just
It happens naturally.
It's also that vibrational level, right? It's no longer matching.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they fall off, but you get to hold them still in love and compassion, because at some point something might happen for them, and next thing they're back in your space again. And so, yeah, cutting them off, I think, is rough. Sometimes it might need to happen, depending on the people, but I think that we are so far along in our healing journey that we we can look at them and say, yeah, that's okay. They've just got to go through what they've got to go through. And when the time's right for them, because if there's one thing I've learned through this journey, is it feels like it's when the time's right.
Yeah.
And for me, being in this space, I'd say the first year there was a lot of isolation for myself. However, I had this community that I was now a part of, and the more work I was doing, or the more I sat in medicine, and that it was always another layer. But it was because I felt safe in the community, right, with the team that I work with. And so every time there's a layer of like being messy, what I felt was messy, or showing myself to be vulnerable, which is not something that I really was one to show before in the past. I'm always strong. I've got it all together. I've got the answers, even when I didn't, it's fine. So I put up this mask, but I've been in a space where I felt safe, and that's allowed me to take these layers off and go deeper and deeper into things that I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah. And how much energy it takes to just hold that fort. I had the same experience. I was like the manager of combat. I cannot go out with people. I have to hold myself in a certain way. I cannot make mistake. And then at one point I decided that I'm human, and just do whatever, do me, do myself. And the relaxation that came out of it, and the more energy I have now to share with them, is massive.
Right. Can you ladies speak on I know that Tanya, you're looking to open a women's circle here in Chiang Mai. What do you think are the biggest challenges that women, especially women growing up in Western culture, or women women who are transitioning to a more mature stage of their lives, like what are the biggest challenges women face, and what do you think that women need, and how do you think women are open for community and to come together?
I think we're wanting more of it, whether it's woman or male. We're looking for community, right? I think for women, our voices have been shut down for a long time, right? Whether it's from family. I had this perception that when I got married, that the man's meant to take care of me, and he's meant to be all these things, and lead. And inside I was fighting that for sure. And when I felt like they weren't doing the role that I expected from them, then I'm having to come up and be stronger and stuff. And so there's a piece where I think women need to learn to soften, and they want a safe space to be able to soften, to be vulnerable, to be who they actually authentically are inside, and have that in a really safe space. And like in our everyday life, there's so much noise. There's all the social media. There's who we're supposed to be as a person. There's all these masks. There's all these layers that, who am I as a mother? who am I as this friend? Who am I as the daughter? How do I show up to all these things? And, when we get to start dropping all these masks and actually just be one person, it can be less work. And so in all the work that I've done, like whether I go back to my business experience, whether I go back to the holistic experience that I have, for me now doing the women's circle is giving back to the community here. Because I can see the growth that I've had and the change. And I can see how I'm moving forward now and the shifts that the things that I'm about to step into. So for me, the women's circle about how can I give back to some of the community here for the woman, and not just the woman in my own community, but also maybe not in the plant medicine, because you don't have to be in plant medicine to be making these shifts and moving forward, right? Everyone's just at a different place in their journey, and what we need to do is show up and be supportive of one another at wherever you are.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
No,
Is this funny?
I just got a funny question in my head, but it's okay. No, I'm not gonna ask it. No, I was gonna ask, what is a woman? Let's not go there. But yeah, no, yeah,
No, but I look at we just have to play so many roles.
right.
Like, how can we just bring it back and start connecting to this piece inside of us that's actually guiding us? And it's all the conditioning that we had. It's the noise. Like, I used to think that I was actually in the training room with Liz, and she says, "Oh, I don't have any thoughts running through my head," sort of thing. Like, it was silence. And I'm like, how is that possible? Like, my mind goes 100 miles an hour, and I've got this and I've got that, and I'm always planning. And and then I've gone through this healing stuff. Well, you cop a little bit of it. If you saw it before, it was intense.
Yeah.
But now, because I've done so much healing, the intensity of what goes on in my mind, it's so still. Like, once I'm on fire and I'm in flow of stuff, yeah, there's information coming through and I get to action it, but it's not this clutter that was constantly going on, like, I think, I got kids, I got work, I got to
Maybe it's also, because you are in alignment for sure, and you are respecting your energy, because each one of us has a different type of energy, right? And it happens to me when I first come to plant medicine. My thing was like, oh my God, I'm so masculine. How do I connect with the feminine energy? And that drove my search for a few years, until recently, when it just hit me, thanks to one of the participants. It hits me so strong. I say, my power is in the masculine. I step and I go back to the feminine, because when I stay too much in the masculine energy that I carry, I become exhausted. And so I step back in the feminine when I need to recharge. But my power comes from that. And when you honor where is your energy come from, and then you are able to just go.
And
Thank you so
what
much.
do you both think are the differences of, because we live in Thailand, and Thai women have a very different energy to Western women, of course. And how do you guys bridge that gap? I know, like, because we all work with a lot of Thai people, and
I was like a freight train when I first came. And so I was really lucky because I had Jen, who is another one of our team sort of thing.
shout out to Jen.
Yeah, and she's been in Thailand for 10 years. And so she would have to say to me, Tanya, rein this in. Right? In Thailand here, you've got to go round, you've got to be softer and stuff. And where I come from, this business perspective of like, why are people so slow? Like, we're just got to do this, this, and this. Why does it not make sense? I went to a networking event last week where it was about Farangs working with Thais. And one of the things they brought up was relationships, and that the relationship is more important than the monetary side of things. And that will always come first. So I'm really thankful for Jen and working side by side with me, because she was able to pull me back because she saw the value. But working with the Thais has taken time to, like, I'm lucky. I was bringing a lot of stuff for the team in the back end of what we were doing. And so they got to know me on a different level, but I've just had to relearn a whole different way being here in Thailand.
Right. I think there's a flow in Thailand, and the flow is like just easy, like sabai, sabai, sabai. And then when you and Jen came in, it did start a fire under our asses, and it grew into something way bigger than we initially thought it would, thanks to your help. and but I think there's still a balance that needs, because there's a flow and there's the fire, but they don't have to be two separate things, like it can just blend into one, like a dragon or something.
But look what's happened, and
Yeah, we've all lost hair. That's what happened.
I think you just need to learn how to approach them, because for me it was also a big learning point. Coming from Italy 13 years ago, I was like, yes, as she said, just go, 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 go.
Right.
This is the instruction, you do it. And then I was like, why you're not doing it? And I was like raising my voice, because that is how they grew up me in Italy. Something you're not happy with, you just shut. Never worked here. I was actually losing respect from my staff because I was raising my voice.
Right.
So I had to really learn to center and to breathe and to just understand, okay, what is the key of entering in the mindset, and how can I have them do what I want in their ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, that's the thing. That this is the reason why I love this country so much, is because there's the flow is what's easiest for everybody. Like I always use this example of the traffic. In Thailand, it's not about following traffic rules. It's about just making sure everyone gets to where they want to get the fastest. So if you're at a red light and the light's red, but there's no one on the street, they're gonna get pissed off if you don't go. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be like, just
Only
run.
red lights.
Yeah,
Why?
run the red light.
This
because
is not a suggestion.
This is not a suggestion. I'm just saying, it's like what's gonna. It's not about like following the rules. It's what's gonna make it easier for everybody. And that's why I love this country so much. Not that I run red lights.
If I'm in flow, I move fast.
Right.
You guys have seen part of me, like when I move fast, right? But working with the Thais and stuff, I've had to recognize when I'm going fast, and then maybe say, hey, look, I'm kind of in flow right now, and if it's polarizing, then just let me know. So I'll rein it in.
Right.
But when I'm in flow and I'm not thinking and things are just coming through for me, that's when I'm doing the best work, right? Once I have to sit there and think and go slow, then I find that really jarring. So finding that balance for myself has been a bit of a process, but still a work in progress, but we're getting there.
Okay, let's move on to plant medicine. And what are your ladies what are your favorite plant medicine, or the most transformative plant medicine that you've worked with, and how that has impacted your life and shifted your perception of this life?
Yeah, definitely ayahuasca for me.
Right.
And I think ayahuasca is the healer. The other one, they unlock, other medicine unlock other parts of me. But the healer for me has been ayahuasca. And what she really showed me, not sure, what she made me feel is that this massive trust that everything is going to be okay. And it's a trust that I really wish I had when I was a teenager, a child. Everything is going to work out. Everything is going to be okay.
Yeah, that's what you get from ceremony, eh? Because like some ceremonies get so crazy, you're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? But then somehow
Yeah.
the lights come on, and then people are grateful.
Yeah, there is a blessing in that also. What the medicine allows us to do is to be the witness. I think is sometimes people ask me, how can you stay there when people are going through such a hardship and they're crying and they're shouting and it's a blessing to be able to just be there, be the observer, acknowledge what they're going through, and also don't interfere with them, and hold the space.
Right.
It's really blessing.
Yeah.
I think from my perspective, when we see that, and people go, how do you do this? Not get involved. I have said to people, like, we just see somebody that's healing.
Mm-hmm.
For us, like, it's as a facilitator, like, they're doing their work. They're in a deep journey. So, like, purge away, cry, do whatever. But for me, ayahuasca is definitely mine. I like the shadow work of it. I like when it's a big night where it's a little crazy and stuff, because again, like I said, we see people that are healing in stuff's actually coming up for them, which means they're going to have shifts after this. Yeah, she's my favorite medicine by far out of all of the ones we've done.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, same for me. Are there any people out there that you both believe should not do ayahuasca? Like any type of person, or maybe they're too crazy, or they're not, yeah.
Define crazy. There are so many layers, and I think we use that word a bit too much. There are many sides of it.
Yeah, I mean,
And is it just stuff that's suppressed, right? It's that inner dialogue fighting with ourselves constantly. You know, like it's what's wanting here and then what's going on here.
right.
And that's the conflict that's happening for so many people.
The only thing that I see is just people who don't want to heal and they just do it. Like they want to do it for fun, just to have a good night. If everybody who is ready to heal and they are willing to put in the work, they are ready. And that's actually also one of my strong points when I do coaching. If they're not ready to work for that, I'm not taking you in.
Right.
I don't waste my energy. I don't waste my time for that.
Yeah.
But if you're ready, you put your 100%. I put my 200% in it.
You know, in the time that I've been in ceremony, I think I've seen one person that said they came because somebody asked.
Yeah.
Just one. Like everybody else is always showing up because they had a calling to come to the medicine. And watching that experience, his transformation at the end was that he had curiosity about how he didn't really go in deep enough, how he didn't respect the medicine in the right way. And so maybe he'll come back to do it right next time. So regardless, I think people will end up in the medicine when it's right for them. Maybe that's what he needed.
Yeah, just the right time as well. Yeah. But also the right time come when you're ready.
But I would put anyone, I 100% would love my kids to go do it. Because if there's layers of stuff that they need to clear so that they are more connected to themselves, so that they can be more in alignment with what they're doing in life. This is a long life and it's so much factadery in it and all the rest of it, but it's a beautiful journey. And if they could do that at this age that they're at, then they're going to be so much further along than I would be.
Yeah, and it's also a butterfly effect. You hear one person and yet this person hears so many people around them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would love my mum and dad to do it. I would 100% put them in there because I think, as you get to the end of your life, if you can release some stuff that you don't have to take into the next, or before you go, that you can have a sense of peace and stuff, then 100%. And, we've had participants right up to 91,
Yeah.
So it's possible for everyone. They are more conditioned in their mindset and their thinking. But when we watched this lady that came in not long ago that was 91, and when she left, the transformation that she had, and I'm like excited for her what she gets to go home and do, and maybe be a lot more at peace with herself now because of what she became aware of.
Right. Yeah. Shout out to Joy. Yeah. No. I think for the audience that have not done ayahuasca is one of the safest plant medicines you can do physically, unless you are a severe drug addict or you've been on SSRIs or benzodiazepines or any hormone or mood altering medications. Ayahuasca is one of the safest medicines you can do. They have kids in the jungle as young as 6 years old taking ayahuasca in microdoses already in the tribes. And as Tanya was mentioning, we had a 91-year-old lady who did ayahuasca with us, and the oldest man that I've met who still serves ayahuasca is a shaman called Benjamin from Pucallpa, and he is 104 years old. And he can't even walk, but he still serves medicine and ceremony. He still smokes mapacho morning until evening. And there's another thing to talk about. I think in the West we've been skewed with our ideas on tobacco as something very harmful, when it is something that's so healing. All three of us, we connect with tobacco a lot, perhaps more than we should. but grandfather mapacho is just like super healing, and it's not the tobacco that you get from 7-Eleven, full of chemicals, full of shit. It's just pure Nicotina rustica. And nicotine has also has been scientifically proven to show many benefits for our mind, for our brain health as well. So SSRIs, I'm just going to touch on this very, very briefly. SSRIs damage our neural network and they cut off connections between neurons. Ayahuasca does the opposite. Ayahuasca grows back dead, dormant neurons and allows our neural network to flourish, you know. So that's also something that I'm very in awe of how these plant medicines interact with our brain chemistry and our physical health as well. Yeah. So I wanna ask now about the future goals that you ladies have for yourselves at this stage of your life, and also where you want to see yourself in 5 years, in 10 years, if you have any goals, whether it's internal or external. Yeah, if you can share.
Conquer the world.
Conquer the world. Yeah, Genghis Khan. Shout out to Genghis Khan.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the vision that I hold, it was very interesting because when I am touching coaching in 2018, where I started to have my first training, and that was a question that the coach was asking, and I was like pitch blank. I don't see myself in 5 years. I don't see myself in 10 years. Um, and with the help of the healing of the medicine and with the work that I did on myself outside of it, now my vision is like so bright and clear and is so far away and is on layers. So I have a vision for myself, and for myself is about the coaching. I want to continue on the coaching and make it bigger and bigger, and with that being able to help as many people as possible. With the place where I work in as well, I want to reach and touch as many people as I can. And I want to open, in the long run, I want to open in different locations in the world. I actually want to open one in Peru.
Command pre.
Yeah, so it's a martial art resort, right? And what I see is that with my presence, so combat has been born in 2004 as a Muay Thai gym.
Yeah.
And I arrived at combat in 2013, and I was lucky enough for 6 years to work with the founder. Then he passed away during a boxing fight. And after he passed away, I took over. But already with him, we were starting a shift in the concept that we have. We don't want to have fighters. We want to have normal people that use martial art as a healing tool. And the transformation that I see also in people coming in my place and going is massive. It's really massive. And there is a similarity in between what I do there with martial art and what you are doing here with plant medicine. The people are coming and they train for like 4 to 5 hours a day. The barrier that you hold up, they start to crumble down when you make your body so tired. You're tired, you keep pushing, you're tired, you keep pushing, and this barrier, they kind of fall down. Is the same that happened with plant medicine. They become translucent more than falling down, and you're able to see the other side. So I have people that like in the middle of training, maybe they were sparring, they just start to go in tears and cry and look for me, come to my office and just sit down and have a meltdown. That is very, very transformative for them. And so with these, I also want to really touch as many people as possible and want them to understand that your body is a tool.
Yeah.
Use your body. And then to combine this with plant medicine and support also the spiritual journey. Because that was another thing that I was missing. I grew up in a religious community. And like my mom, she still worked for the church and everything. And I always felt this disconnection with religion as it was taught. I now know that it was because religion is man-made. And what the medicine give me is spirituality. So I'm in touch with my spirituality.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, amazing. And for those that don't know, that Barbara runs Combat Group in Pattaya, which is a beautiful martial arts facility, as she said, aimed for just helping normal people shift their lives into something healthier. And I've been there a few times, and it's just an amazing healing space, founded by Christian.
Daguio.
Huh?
Daguio.
Daguio,
Yeah.
his last name.
Yes.
Okay, Christian Daguio, who has passed, rest in love. Perhaps you can speak a bit more about Christian, just perhaps like I know he's had a crazy amount of fights, hasn't he? Like over
250 nearly.
250 Muay Thai and boxing fights for a farang. That's fucking insane.
Yeah. Well, he moved to Thailand when he was in his early 20s.
Right.
And he lived as a Thai fighter, so in the same conditions, and like with no money, and he came in literally with nothing. And from that, just believing in himself. And it was the way that initially he made money was betting on himself.
Right.
Yeah, and then he started to build up money because his ego was really big, and so he was very confident, and he knew when he could win or not. So in the moment that he was feeling confident, he was betting on himself and win the money, and then he started combat.
Wow. Yeah. Nah. I mean, I've never met the guy. But always felt a strong connection with him. Yeah, through you and the stories. Yeah. No. So Tanya, what's your 5 hour goal?
Apart from being your thorn in the side. People come into medicine and they get the insights about themselves, the wisdom and stuff, and then that's one part of it. And then when you leave, it's the work that you do, right? So, um, for me at the moment, I'm all about the integration, and so I have this passion about creating our integration pillar, supporting and making sure there's a community for people to come back to and have the tools that they need. And so that's where I'm at the moment, and the coaching within that space. Um, and then I'm also got this business side of me that's like supporting people within our community or even within these groups, how they're wanting to move forward. What do they need? What are the skills? What are the tools? And helping guide in that kind of space. So this is more of watch the space. There's stuff to come. Grow it.
Yeah. So you want to share about Integration Vine briefly?
So Integration Vine is a pillar to support people that have just come out of medicine, to give them a space to come back to where they get to share and get support from one another, from other people that have been through the medicine community. And it doesn't just have to be ayahuasca, it's any kind of plant medicine. And the thing is, when people go back home, they notice that they've changed and others haven't. And so when you get back into the busyness of life, it's so easy to fall back into the same old behavior patterns or, just life itself. And then it takes a few months to go, wow, I didn't move forward. So the integration is so important, and this connection back to self and having the tools to ground, to make sense of what's going on for you, to translate what's going on for yourself. And so we're creating a platform for that, and there'll be a new website coming soon with different tools and different coaches with different backgrounds to support the different types of people that are in that space.
Yeah, no, wonderful. And as I am also very big on integration, I think that one of the most troubling things I see is people come to ceremony, they do big mushroom, acid, whatever they do, wherever they do it, and they're just more unhappy than before, or they're more crazy, or they're more manic than before. Whereas, in my idea, like, anything that you do that's supposed to heal you, your life should be happier. You should have more joy. You should have more fun. You should be more relaxed. But if you're taking life just even more seriously, then I don't think there's a point in doing more plant medicine. You should be focusing on modalities that's away from that medicine space, because we can't stay there always. We don't want it to become our escape from reality. We want it to become a catalyst to live a better, more fulfilling, more joyful life. So yeah, thanks.
I think that, though, just to touch on that, it's when you first started on this journey, that's the hardest,
Right.
right? Using that analogy of an onion, like that first layer is really hard to dig off and make sense of. And so that's why it's that manic of like, oh my gosh, like now I know nothing.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? The more you realize, the more you know, the more you realize you know nothing, right? And so that's why their support's super important, to be able to ground and know that it's okay. Just where you're at any moment is okay. But where can you bring yourself back to a centered space
Right.
and be grounded? And where are you getting support to continue that journey, right? Because so many circle back to come back and do medicine because they were looking for it. And especially with our retreats, right? When they come through those retreats, by the end of 6 days, they have found a community. They've had such big shifts with a group of people that have all moved together. And when they leave, now they're lost because, well, that's not there, right? And everybody's busy gone off into the world again. So being able to come back and be given that safe space, because that's what it is, that safe space, to share what's going on allows them to release some of that stuff and keep moving forward. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess that you guys, you can help them, or I can help as well. Like we can help them to just bring action. I am a firm believer that healing comes from action. It doesn't come like for me, it doesn't come from meditation. Meditation is not my tool, never have been. Healing for me come from action. What is the action that I do on a daily basis that help me heal?
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you laugh about it? Because healing can be fun, right?
Exactly.
And you laugh at the ridiculousness of what's going on, like the things that you think are so super serious. And are they really?
Yeah.
Like, can you step back and you just go, wow, I'm catastrophizing all of these things, but really, are they that important? We make such mountains out of molehills, was that right?
What?
But we catastrophize this. Yeah. We catastrophize these little things.
Right.
That we really, when we can sit back and get perspective of what it was, it's actually not that big a thing.
Right.
And a lot of the time, it's just a case of making a choice.
Mm.
You just got to make a choice. And maybe what the choice you make doesn't actually work in that moment, but maybe it takes you somewhere else.
Exactly. And I think that the awareness, like oftentimes people ask me, oh, I have this bad habit. How can I change it? And I'm like, it's not a habit. Did you really look into it? And let's take, for example, people who drink Coca-Cola and they want to get rid of it. No, have this habit and drink Coca-Cola. Did you actually study what that does to your body? Did you read about the consequences? Maybe the benefit, not sure. But did you dig into that? Because once you know everything about it, then it's your choice. But it's not the habit is done out of awareness.
Right.
But if you become aware of everything, then it's your choice. And I always tell them, then you want to continue to drink Coke, fine for me. It's your choice.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a thing that I also appreciate the most about our community, at least, is that we can laugh about stuff. It's not so fucking serious. Like there's no hierarchy of you gotta bow to K, every time he walks by or something like that,
Kinda.
Yeah, fuck, kinda actually. Yeah, but just a heal there is healing in humor as well, and just being able to laugh at the situation, not laugh in a malicious way, but just to laugh at fuck,
Out of your heart.
Yeah,
The best thing that you can do, just laugh out of your heart.
yeah, this life gets fucking crazy. What are we gonna do about it? Just be like, oh, the whole time, But
I think also holding that space of oh, they're going through something right now.
right,
It's okay. Okay, you chose that. How did that work out for you? But knowing that you're actually still taking action in those moments, whether it's right for you or not, something's happening for our higher good.
Yeah.
Right. And we know that and we trust that. Right. But it's now, how do we map that across for people that are coming through? And it's okay.
yeah,
Stop being so hard on yourself. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say, I need some help. I can't make sense of what's going on at the moment, and my brain's really busy. It's okay, come back to us. We're here to help you.
And how beautiful it is when you don't react, when people like try to attack you and you are not just reacting with the same energy, but you come from that point and say, oh, he's going through something, something is happening. And also you bring in, okay, it's a reflection of me, right? And you're not just going in with aggression as well, but you're just there and you really want to laugh, but you cannot in front of somebody that is attacking you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Brother, how much time do we have left? 50. Okay. So just to wrap this up, is there any messages that you guys wish to share for perhaps people back home in New Zealand or in Italy? And even if you wish to speak in Italian, I think that would be nice as well.
I'm not sure I can.
He forgot
I
that.
forgot the language.
Right. That you guys think would help people perhaps who could greatly benefit from plant medicine or NLP or any of this healing work, but who have no connection in their daily life to it, that it would never come across, even by accident.
Well, most people that know me probably don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I just don't get out there and share that. I just go off and do my own thing. And so, like, from a New Zealand perspective, my family know what I do, and they all just go, "Oh, Tanya's doing her thing again." Like, I've trying to encourage my mum and that to come, and I have family, extended family that maybe they see this and it might trigger something, and if it is, then contact me. There might be people that I went to school with. I think the plant medicine space is there for everyone. Like, and everyone can benefit from at least one retreat journey to learn something about themselves. Um, and I know that we hold a really great container that is full of safety and stuff, and all the extra stuff that's in the retreats, and that really benefit people to be able to leave with, yes, they've done their plant medicine journey, but you now have knowledge and techniques that you can go and use in everyday life, or in regards to like the somatic stuff, whether it's the qigong and the yoga, the breath work, the sound journeys, all those other things that we bring into our retreats as well, that supports somebody on this space. Yeah, like, I think it's there for everyone, and I would say yes, come. So if that calling was there for somebody, then that's reach out and then support them through that process.
Okay.
Yeah, my invitation aligns a lot with that. Is just reach out. Don't be afraid of not getting in touch. Not just for plant medicine, but just getting in touch. For a word of encouragement or for just sharing what you're going through, because something happened in the past. I am here for you. I'm not reaching out to you, so you just send me a message and I am there for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I think to point out though as well is that when you come into medicine, there's like this quantum leap, right, of all this information downloaded that you get. So you could be in a healing journey and you go to learn some modality, whether it's Reiki, whether it's NLP, whatever. They're slower steps. When you step into medicine, you're going to get a big jump. That's the difference of what's out there.
Right.
yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this off. I'm gonna put links, obviously, to each of our socials and combat group as well for those who are interested in martial arts. And yeah, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today. And yeah, thank you to Shah and the team as well here at Shah Studio. So this great podcasting space that we have. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Please like and comment, and if you made it through to the end, please share as well. That would motivate me to spend more of my money to do this. Okay, guys. So yeah, much love to everyone. Hausch.
Thank you.